Good evening, everyone. My name is Tawana Rivers, your Chief Operating Officer here at the 10K Project. And tonight is another Bet on Black pitch where we just share a founder's journey and we show them some love and rally around them and share with them how excited and how proud we are of them. And at the end of the evening, hopefully there'll also be some investments. With that said, I want to introduce to you Donald Hawkins. Donald's going to tell us a little bit about his business in a moment. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the campaign page so that we can go over some specifics of the deal. As you guys know that have joined us before, we are going to put the campaign link in the chat throughout the evening, so you don't have to worry about trying to find that. It'll be in that chat probably 20, 30 times before this evening is over. If you can use that campaign link to visit the campaign page when you're ready to review and potentially invest, that would be great. If you misplace that campaign link, it'll be in the replay that we send you. It will also be in the newsletter that we send you on Mondays and Thursdays, and you'll get that campaign link, and the replay will be in the newsletter until this campaign closes. So for anyone watching the replay, you'll have access to that over and over again. All right. So with that said, I want to introduce you guys to Kenly, and it's Kenly, right, Donald?
That is it, just like Ken.
Just like Ken. Kenly is a financial app, and I'm going to let Donald talk all about that, but we are in the friends and family phase of this. You guys know I get excited when we're in the friends and family phase because it puts us in the position of the rich aunties and uncles that get this campaign live. So Donald has to raise a certain amount of funds in order for the campaign to be live. And so that happens in the friends and family stage. There's 8 days left. Donald, do you want to share with us how much you raised already?
Yeah, right now between WeFunder, Stonks, and just VCs, we're right at about $4 million.
Wonderful. Very good. So we want to do our part. This is also an uncapped safe with 15% discount. And this campaign is currently in testing the water. So guys, as you know, we talk about this. And for anyone new this evening, testing the water simply means that Donald has not yet filed his Form C. The campaign is in the phase of testing to see how many people are interested in it. And most of the time, it's that period between the campaign launching and the Form C being filed. Donald, when's your Form C going to be filed?
We're thinking within the next 30 days. So what's interesting kind of about our raise, and I'll delve into this a little bit deeper in the pitch, is we really wanted this specifically to fit more people that look like us. And I think that that's one of the tricky things in the venture space. We've been able to cross a threshold and raise a good bit of money so far. And one of my employees kind of challenged and said, well, listen, if the goal at Kenly is to help people build generational wealth, how come we don't have more Black people investing in Kenly? And I was like, say less, and we're going to put something to work. So we're in a pretty unique spot right now where we were oversubscribed for our seed round, oversubscribed for the A round, feel pretty good about the B round as well. And typically from A to B is where you see the largest leap in valuation for companies too. So I wish you would have challenged me a little bit earlier because we would have done this back in the C.
That's good. All right, so with that said, I think I've shown enough of the information. This group has been on WeFunder before, and so you guys know how to do your due diligence, look for the information. You know that if after this evening you have additional questions, there is an ask a question section. That's where you want to send your questions. You also want to review questions that others have asked there because they could be educational for you as well. And with that said, I'm going to stop sharing. And then Donald, I'm going to turn this over to you. If you need to share your screen, sir, you absolutely can.
Yeah, most definitely. So what I'll do is kind of run you all just through a general deck to give you all kind of a higher level view of what it is we're building. But I want to go back to the WeFunder page because I also think it's incredibly important for us to be reminded of the history, and in some cases, history that we were not told. Part of my journey there as well. So kind of to kick it off, again, really appreciate you, Tawana, and everyone's time. Super excited to hear about the 10K project. and excited to pitch to you all today. Let's start it off from the very beginning. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going into statistics, but if you can think about every single negative statistic around finance and insurance and money in general, Black America has been struggling. It's not new to us. A lot of people have been talking about this upcoming recession, and one of my teammates reminded everybody on my team that Black people are almost always in a recession. It just never seems to stop. My father grew up in South Georgia, not the best place to grow up, was the first person to integrate his high school. My grandmother grew up as a sharecropper. And almost every time I give a talk, I love to say that as a level set, because they worked their butts off to make sure that me and my sisters had everything that we needed. And I don't take that lightly, you know. So when people pat me on the back, go, Donald, you've done all these amazing things. I can guarantee you, if I had the choice between sharecropping and running a venture, I'm going to run a venture every day. But growing up in my hometown, that actually caused me to grow up with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. Seeing folks in Albany, Georgia that look like me struggle consistently, even people in my external family, I watched how it became the norm. But my mom and dad put me in a situation where I went to schools with our counterparts and saw their families were the ones owning the businesses and buying the things and doing the things in my hometown. And I realized pretty early that there were limitations that Black folks had set they didn't even know they could get beyond. When I turned 12 years old, I got even luckier. I was introduced to one of my current investors, but a lifelong mentor named Jameer Jackson. Jameer was a 26-year-old hotshot, graduated from Notre Dame, ended up getting drafted in the NBA, got hurt, had to get a job. And of all the places that he could have gone, Procter & Gamble sent him to Albany, Georgia, and he was my dad's boss. Jameer special to me because when the internet started to get popular, everybody was talking about chat rooms and video games. He built a drop shipping business called littleafrica.com. If everybody on this screen goes there now, you all will probably be all 70 visits he's had so far this month. So do that for my boy. But it was important to me because it exposed me to digital venture where people were paying him to sell their products and drop shipping. And it just blew my mind. And I realize now that I was exposed to that maybe 10 to 15 years earlier than I was supposed to. But downside of things, it completely ruined the plan my parents had set. I was supposed to graduate from high school, go to Albany State University, the local HBCU, like everybody else in my family, graduate, get a job at Procter & Gamble, Merck Chemical, Cooper Tire, work there for 20 to 35 years, retire, become a deacon at the church, and develop a very bad golf game. Like that was the plan. And I can tell you so many people in my life that followed that exact same plan. But once I learned that you could create something and people would pay you to develop this idea, I just went full tilt. Years later, I ended up moving to the big city, Atlanta, Georgia, small fish, huge pond, and started my first venture called Dr. Phone Book. It was a website where doctors paid me $99 per month to advertise a profile page. That was back in the good old days when Google clicks only cost 12 cents. And we were able to do pretty good. Me and my roommate were able to sell that company and build it up to 170 doctors on the platform. And we sold it for about $500,000. And if you came from where I came from, I thought that was it. I was done. I'm about to retire. You know, I'm about to be the next Bill Gates. I'm about to be the next, you know, insert name here. And I realized that money goes really, really fast when you don't have the financial education or the acumen behind it. Glass half full, though, is that those funds led me to become an angel investor and micro investor in a variety of ventures, from health tech, ad tech, hair businesses, you name it. If anybody from my hometown had an idea, I invested, lost all of it, but I got exposed to everything. Many years later, I ended up in the fintech industry, building software solutions for community banks and credit unions. Felt great about it. Built a tool called Griffin Technologies that gave banks the ability to understand contextual intelligence around their customers. Just a fancy way of saying that we could geofence homes for sale, other banks, auto dealerships. And if you had my SDK inserted in your bank's mobile app and you crossed into that virtual geofence, we would notify our banking partner that your customer, Tawana Rivers, is now in a home for sale. So yes, Tawana has not called you about a home loan in the last 15 years. Now you finally know she may be interested in a home. And I felt great about it because I felt I was working with a lot of small banks against the big banks. And a lot of those smaller banks were in hometowns that reminded me of my hometown. Fast forward to 2020, all is good with the world. Business is going well. My wife and I find out in January of 2020 that we were pregnant with our second child. So I'm just on top of the world. And every single thing after that moment was downhill in 2020. Kobe died, murder hornets, political unrest. And May 25th, George Floyd gets killed. So here I am again, now in my late 30s, experiencing now the all too familiar feeling, that deafening feeling of not knowing what to do, except this time it's different. I had a daughter. My daughter at the time was 7 years old, but now I'm thinking to myself, man, I have a son that's coming into this world, and somebody's son just got murdered on national television, right? And you can't escape it because now you have the pandemic. You're at home, you have to deal with it. My business, working with banks, you could imagine, was not in a good spot at that time too. Banks were struggling because people couldn't come into branches. And I just was watching things for me personally and professionally implode. And I went to sleep that night and asked myself, is there anything that I can do to make meaningful impact, to make this world a better place, selfishly for my kids, but then everyone's kids? And I was looking at TV and I saw a lot of 20-year-olds in the entrepreneurial ecosystem protesting. And the thought occurred to me, wait a minute, Donald, you're at the crib and you see these 20-year-olds protesting on TV. You were in your 20s when you were protesting Gina 6 and your dad was at home. Wait a minute. Your dad was at home when your dad protested when he was in his 20s. And I started to realize that in the case of the racial reckoning of America, that time was actually not on our side. In fact, it was against us, because as we get older, our priorities change. We have kids, we have families. So our focus and impact now becomes more insular versus what we had before with the community. And I realized that's why so much of the movement that Black America has had typically stalls, right? And then we saw what happened in 2020. Did we get policy? Hell no. But Aunt Jemima changed the name. Nancy Pelosi took a knee. That's cool. Did that change anything? A couple statues got removed. And as all of these emotions and feelings and thoughts started to bubble up, it just really empowered me even more to look into things that we needed, and not just about police brutality, right? Underemployment, education reform. There are fewer Black homeowners today than there were in the 60s and 70s, but nobody's talking about it, right? And this is before the housing crisis. This was back in 2020. And somebody in my community reached out and was like, Donald, I know you talked to me before about doing a neobank. And I'm like, bro, I can't do a neobank, man. Like, do you see any other Black folks doing neobanks? Chime is dominating the space, Vero, all these big companies, but all of these folks were VPs and SVPs at Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs. Like, they're not going to invest in a Black guy. And my mother and my community stood up for me, and they reminded me that every single iteration that Black America has gone through has started with somebody doing something that they didn't even realize was going to spark change. Rosa Parks had no intention that morning of waking up and sparking the civil rights movement. She just did not feel like sitting on the back of the damn bus. And as those thoughts started to really come into my head, I realized, man, Donald, you know what? You got to go out there and give this the most ultimate at bat that you can. Maybe you get it across the finish line. Maybe you don't. But maybe you get it far enough that somebody else can follow behind your footsteps, pick it up, and they can take it even further. And that really kind of unlocked things for me. But that's why with Kinley, we have two primary things that we want to focus on. We know all the financial statistics are horrible. We know that Black America, when it comes to the wealth gap, this is the widest it's ever been. White families right now are worth value-wise 10 times the amount of Black families. Latin families right now have $20,000 in average wealth per family, and it's increasing. Black families, $15,000 and decreasing. By 2053, the net median income of our community, the average family, is going to fall to $0. And we're looking at it happen in slow motion. Mind you, that was prior to the pandemic. That was also prior to the inflation that we see, prior to the crazy housing market. We have a generation of Black folks right now that won't be able to own their first home until their mid to late 40s at best. And we aren't doing enough to make change. So that's the problem. One thing that I love to stand on is that we don't look like your average bankers. Uh, when we raised our initial round of funding, we had a couple different routes to go, right? You could do a lot of marketing and advertising, get the word out, get a lot of people to join your wait list, and then somehow find a way to build. I knew that Black America only had, like usual, a small window for us to break through. You know, VCs in 2020, you know, and just the ecosystem in general just had a little bit of room, a little small crack in that window where they had compassion and empathy for what Black America was going through. But I've seen that before, and I knew eventually it was going to run out. So I put more focus on building the team because I knew that we had to last the test of time. That performative work that we saw in 2020 with all these companies, you know, saying, hey, we're going to commit this many millions, this many billions. And now we see 2 years past, very little of that has been done. No one here is likely surprised. So we built the most amazing team of people that have large incumbent bank experience, but also high growth startup. Portia Dame is one of the smartest women I've ever met in my life. And Black women are a very important part of the makeup of Kinley. I succinctly feel that Black women are the key to Black America's success, 100%. They lead the financial livelihood of the household. They're the ones who are teaching our kids, you know, how to work with money. Over the last 5 years, we've also seen a significant shift in the market where Black women have had enough and they realize that they are capable. They can do everything that they want to do with or without men in their life. I have a 9-year-old daughter. I don't want my daughter dependent on no one. I want my daughter to get out there and completely change the world. And Black millennial women are so important for two different reasons. One, their parents look to them because the boomer generation and beyond, they're struggling. A lot of them don't have enough funds to retire. Inflation is kicking their butt. Where is additional income going to come from? They look to their daughters and nieces to help provide them advice. What are you going to do? But then also, you have the nieces, nephews, little brothers, and sisters of the Black millennial women who look up to her. She's the largest buying class now. She's the one buying homes. She's the one that's the most educated community in the country, but yet no one is really catering to her. Everyone kind of sort of panders to her, but it's through influencers. Somebody will go and grab Meg Thee Stallion, you know, as an ambassador, do a little campaign. Somebody will go and grab another Black influencer. And we've seen that happen so many times. So I wanted to make sure that Black women were extremely well represented. And the cool thing about it, I didn't even have to be that intentional. We just happened to see really good candidates that were Black women. Guess what? Not a surprise to anybody. They work hard and they know exactly what they're doing. Aliona Gardner led people at a company called Bread, large fintech company in the B2B space, 400 plus employees. Daryl Green was a former SVP at Wells Fargo, decided that he started his career in a Black bank in Detroit, and he said he wanted to end his career. And that's a commitment that he made to me. And I wake up every day thinking about that comment, making sure that we do right by him. Tony Sargent is an amazing individual. She has so much experience. She was a director of product at Venmo, has worked at Chase as a VP of product, Lending Tree, you name it, tons of experience, and brought so much value to our team. Dr. Melody Robinson Wright was another really big ad for us. We knew financial education was going to be important, but I got tired of Black people being provided the same cookie cutter budgeting 101. Pull out your notebooks and let's discuss it. We needed somebody that could talk to us in the tone that we needed. So Melody is what I like to call the finfluencer. There's a number of Black women, especially on social media, who have amassed large groups of people to follow them for their financial advice. Melody just so happens to be a certified financial education instructor. So not only does she provide bite-sized audio tracks that our customers can listen to, she also works with other influencers that we call money mentors that talk about financial and financial adjacent topics. So one of my favorite is car talk. You know, Black folks don't really talk about, hey, how do you handle a car? What happens if you buy a new car and you drive it off the lot? Some of our families don't have, you know, men in the families teaching the kids about even getting things fixed on the car. So love the way her and her group thinks about those financial adjacent topics. Tanae Raymond I've been a marketing coordinator at American Express for 15 plus years, super skilled marketer. Chuck Marshallin is our head of talent, phenomenal individual. A lot of the people you see on the screen are directly because of him and his talent. And German Utria has been a customer success director now for a number of very large neobanks like Happy Money, but also traditional banks like Orange County Credit Union. And when you look at the faces on this screen, we call it our intellectual property. And we tell people that this is clearly the most diverse team in the neobank space, but we're the only company in the fintech space that wants its intellectual property stolen. I want every single company to see what I see on the screen and steal it, please. We're much more than a neobank. When I decided to get Kinly started, two primary focal points. One, need to help Black America reclaim our economic impact. We spend $1.7 trillion every year in the US. Less than 3% of that stays in our community. So as a result, we're always beholden to the powers that be to hopefully do things for us. And we do things like pay $20 billion in overdraft fees, but then we clap for the same incumbent banks when they offer $1 billion, for a small fund. And we don't realize that that's actually our money. Like they've been charging us $35 for $5 swipes at McDonald's now since all of us can remember. And then the second focal point is passive wealth building. So we have a generation of folks now, millennials and Gen Z, that have seen their parents struggle, grandparents struggle. I can't tell you how many GoFundMe accounts I've had to see because people literally cannot afford to put their loved ones in the ground, and it sickens my stomach, and I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it because our people have been in this same cyclical nature every single generation. And then the generation beyond the struggles passes on, and then we pick up exactly where they left off, typically in more debt. And now we're doing the exact same thing to our kids. So we realized that if we can acquire the customer at one point, but offer multiple services that Black America is interested in, we can win. So what does that mean? The neobank for us is just a doorway. A depository account, easy money transfers, early direct deposit, FDIC insured deposits through our bank sponsor Bancorp, cash rewards, which I can show you all in a bit, an affiliate marketplace. But what do we see at the end of this thing? I want insurance. I want credit cards. I want business banking. Every single thing that Black America has been underserved in is our advantage, and that's our opportunity. I make it known and I make it plain, because a lot of the other incumbent banks are not going to be able to acquire our community the way we can. And the good thing about it is we're not looking to do this by building so many of these things internally. We want to work with partners. I want to find the largest Black insurance agency that's never thought about a digital first solution and say, hey, listen, we want to integrate. We want to build on top of you. I want to find the largest Black mortgage provider and say, hey, we want to offer home loans. I want to work with Black banks. Kinly is a bridge. And for us to be impactful and effective, we can't become too heavy. We got to find partners to be able to do that. This year alone, we're going to launch an investment tool later this year in August. We were also planning to launch a cryptocurrency exchange, which I got to tell you, I'm still struggling with a bit because personally, I still feel there's utility in cryptocurrency, but timeline wise, I don't know if Black America is interested in it right now, but we're looking into that now. But we will be the first Black cryptocurrency exchange. So I'm still going to get the feature built. How and when we promote it is another conversation, but we're pretty excited about it. And I can only do the things that I talked to you about because of these people. I have 45 full-time team members and a very audacious roadmap, but they give me the confidence. They have the experience as well to pull these things across the finish line. Affinity is our superpower. Like that is it. When people ask me, Donald, what makes you all different? And I say representation. We can acquire our customers for significantly cheaper than any other neobank. We get better engagement. We have better exposure, better virality, because Black people are not accustomed to a Black-focused neobank catering to them specifically, right? I love the BIPOC community. I love every other underserved community, and I want every single one of them to do well. There's a reason Black banks had to be created. There's a reason Asian banks had to be created. In fact, if you think about the history of banking in general, Jewish people who right now in America are known to kind of have a lot of control and power on Wall Street couldn't even put their money in American banks. That resulted in Goldman Sachs and a number of other Jewish banks being created. Goldman Sachs is now number 2 investment bank in the world. Immigrant Italians came to this country in 1863, considered third and second class citizens, also could not put their money in American banks. What they do, they created Bank of Italy in northern San Francisco. By 1930, Bank of Italy had grown to be so big, they decided they need to change their name to Bank of America, #1 commercial bank in the world. Both of those entities started because they did not have access. They did not have equity to American banks. And Black America, our start was actually before both of them. Abraham Lincoln in 1863 signed the Emancipation Proclamation to free Black America. I'm happy to have a much longer conversation about how I really feel about that, by the way. And he was thankful to Black Civil War veterans, but not thankful enough for them to bank with him. But he goes, no worries. My administration is going to provide you 15 branches nationwide, mahogany wood, marble floors. And for Black folks, it was amazing. We never seen something that nice. And then he made it one better. He opened it up to all Black people in general. So now you have newly freed slaves who now love Abraham Lincoln. He freed us, and we have this thing called a bank. But we had so little information about these banks that they bamboozled us, right? One, the most restrictive covenants. We could only withdraw like pennies every month. The bank had an all-white board. Want to take a guess at some of the entities the bank used former slave funds to lend to? The KKK. Former Black slaves helped to fund the KKK because of our lack of knowledge. The bank did poorly. Doesn't pay to invest in hate. So they needed a new face to help invigorate the base. So they searched long and far, and they found Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, we did learn about. We knew Frederick Douglass on the newspaper. We knew Frederick Douglass was an abolitionist. Never learned that Frederick Douglass used to be the president of a bank. And he was so enamored with that bank, he knew that for Black America to win, we had to own our own financial ecosystem. He put $10,000 of his own money in that bank in the 1860s. It's a lot of money. And about 8 months into the job, he realized that he'd been bamboozled and that they brought him in to resurrect the ghost, and that there was too much fraud going on at the bank. And later on in his memoirs, he considered that the biggest regret of his life. That man started off in life as a slave, and the bank was his biggest regret in life. A year after he left the bank closed. The downside, federal deposit insurance wasn't invented for another 90 years. And that was Black America's introduction to America's financial ecosystem. And a lot of those things, again, as you can hear it in my voice, it angers me on one point, but the way I counteract anger is action. And I like to always make sure that we know our history. We've raised $20 million so far from the best in class VCs, angels, and celebrities. I could tell you when I had the initial idea for Kinley, I did not think it was going to lead us here. Point72 Ventures is one of the largest fintech funds in the world. They invest and lead rounds for the largest third-party providers. So think the investment tool in Cash App is DriveWell. Think the largest account origination features is a company called MX. Very large companies, and again, all about the fintech space. Forerunner Ventures was also on my list. They led our Series A. What's special about Forerunner is that they were the first institutional investor in Chime back in 2012, back when Chime, I think, was only worth about $20 million. So they're worth $35 billion now. Forerunner did pretty damn good. They actually just recently closed a $1 billion fund. And I think that's fund 3 or fund 4 for them. What also special about Forerunner is that they are experts in the consumer marketing. So think Dollar Shave Club, Bonobos, Warby Parker, the Oura Ring, you name it, they know how consumers think. So I always saw Point72 and Forerunner as great lead investors because of the fintech side of things and also the direct-to-consumer funding. Anthemis Group has been phenomenal. They're funded by Barclays, big international bank. Kapor Capital has been one of my favorite funds for years now. They've always been about the work, always been investing in minority founders from the beginning. And actually in our Series A, I had to make some very painful adjustments. We had term sheets and agreements from other funds that I had to politely ask to not invest because I had to have Kapor in the round. 100 Black Angels and Allies, Rodney Sampson, and a number of other angels also invested. And then my boy, Andre Charoux up in Canada through Maple VC, and a number of other funds that cover a lot of additional added value. From the celebrity perspective, we knew that we wanted to have that additional validity. Gabrielle Union is still the largest angel investor in Kinley and was the toughest to convince, and I'm thankful for it. Super smart woman, and also provided us a lot of information to help us understand exactly what we needed to do. She challenged me. The original name for the company was actually 10th. It was based on a book by W.B. Du Bois called The Talented 10th. And we were super excited about it. I'm like, oh, the mission is going to be, Black people today will have to be the talented 10th, and we can't wait on other people to do things for us. And Gabrielle was like, no, bro, like that is way too exclusionary. Like, we need something that's going to make people feel what Kinley is. And I love the relationship, with her and all the things that she's also doing as an entrepreneur. Jameer Jackson on the right is my guy. He's the guy who exposed me to venture and helped me make a lot of things happen. And then I won't have to talk to you about the other people. I think y'all know Katie. Unfortunately, the season this year wasn't as good as I was hoping. And Beast Mode, always a fan favorite as well. We're creating the change that we want to see in the world, plain and simple. We have a world-class team. We have industry low CAC that is going to continually improve, best-in-class investors. We are solving a very worthy and noble problem. And we also have a very large national market with global appeal. Because of all the different features that we plan on touching, there's nothing really stopping us from offering crypto in Nigeria or taking investments to Europe. Imagine how powerful our community would be if we all somehow found a bridge to work together. And we feel money is that, right? No one cares, about, country-based diversity or issues if you can help them better their lives. And the Black diaspora is powerful. I've been a lot of places, visited a lot of countries, and it is an absolute shame that we struggle everywhere. Every single place on this earth, we struggle. And I'm sick of it. And the only people that are going to create the solutions that we need are going to have to come from within the community. And that's not just going to be Kinley. We're looking to work with a number of ventures all across the globe where we can work together. I don't want my son and daughter to grow up looking at Wakanda as the fictional place that Black people can win. I refuse to do that. I will die on that hill, right, until we do our part to help make things better. I'll stop here, get off my soapbox, and happy to answer some questions. Would love to show you all the video that we did with Taraji P. Henson, a lot of neat stuff.
Well, let's show us the video as people put in their questions to get us started for the Q&A section. So let's show us the video. I just want to say, did you want to smile with all your teeth when you saw, and I said teeth, T-E-E-F, when you saw that team slide, y'all? Put a 1 in the chat if that team slide did something to your insides in a very amazing way. I know it did for me.
Yeah, we had a team all hands. I'll show you all a video for it last week in Atlanta, and I felt like a proud father and I had to apologize to people because I was just staring at them the whole time. Just staring at them the entire time. I was so proud. Let's see. In fact, I'll show you this first. So this was our, share my screen, share sound, optimize for video. This was our all hands in Atlanta. This was just last week. So we're a remote first company, 45 team members. Everybody was hired remotely. And we now have 18 team members in Atlanta. I moved the headquarters of the company from Kansas City by way of Overland Park to Atlanta. Crazy diverse team, but people that are really about the mission. Can y'all see my screen okay, Tawana?
If we have a chance to use our investment dollars to support a greater cause, because we're a more diverse team and we have an understanding for more diverse needs because of who we are, then that might make a difference.
Because even though we just launched and we're still a very young company, I think it's important that we honor the people that help us get here, and that's all of you, our employees. So it was really important to me that we put some boards together to really kind of commemorate the hard work that you all have done.
Building companies in the middle of a pandemic is hard. I'm so grateful for the effort and energy that you all give us every day. And I hope the team recognizes how hard everyone here is working, especially you all. It's a lot being in leadership. You all help build all of this.
Yep. So that was our team all hands just last week. Again, was just an absolute joy to hang out with everybody. And now I will pull up the video of Queen Taraji. All right, give me 1 second.
All right, guys, go ahead and get those questions in the Q&A.
With cash back for buying black, early access to your paycheck.
All right, that was the short video. Let me do the longer one. I think this is it.
You've probably heard the saying, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But here's the thing, it's a hell of a lot easier to succeed when you've got a head start. For far too long, wealth has been withheld from the black community, leaving future generations behind. Kinley is changing that. With cash back for buying black, early access to your paycheck, and no minimum balances, Kinley is a movement. Built for us, by us. Because their future is our future, and at the end of the day, it is how you start.
So let's get going.
Join the movement today.
All right, that is us. And again, I'm still pinching myself because from my COVID-19 office that I had in Kansas City, I'm now looking at everything that was in my head materialize bit by bit. And it is just one of the largest blessings that you could ever imagine. It gives me strength. I tell my team all the time, we knew going into this that this was not going to be easy. And it hasn't been, but seeing what's been happening, around the world, it's just, man, it drives me.
Donald, this is absolutely amazing. Before we go any further, I see the family already doing it. We have got to give this brother and his team a hand for the work that they took on, knowing in advance it wasn't going to be easy, and they did it anyway. And they did it because this community needs it. So thank you so much, and congratulations on the success thus far. Yeah, Sarah, I know that's right. All the hand claps, okay? Sarah said, I'm gonna use every emoji in here. That's what's up. This is absolutely amazing. And this is not our first introduction to the neobank concept. And you have excelled. You've thought of everything. This is absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin. I'll get to Roger here next time, brother.
Standing ovation, Latrice. I agree. Absolutely agree. You said so many things. The two things that stood out was, one thing that you said is to counteract anger with action. If we don't take anything else away, we need to all remember that, right? We need to all remember that. That is powerful. And shout out to your colleague that said Black people are almost always in a recession.
Yep, 100%. It is. Now, mind you, that I don't want to stand on the soapbox and say that I've always been there. My reaction used to be anger, right? And I realized that was a weapon for the enemy. right? Because when you're angry, you're not thinking clearly, right? You just want revenge. You want something to happen to show people your pain. And I realized during the racial reckoning of 2020 that the powers that be have learned us. They figured us out way too fast. Yeah. Think about how enthralling that whole movement was. And 4 months later, it was gone. Yeah. No policy whatsoever. And it felt like chess. Every move they made, a swath of our community went home. You know, Congress took a knee and half the movement went home. Yeah. Aunt Jemima changed her name. A third of the movement went home. And then people were doing things that just didn't even make sense. The Realty Board in the state of Texas decided that to fight systemic racism, they no longer would call the master bedroom master. And I'm like, are we literally being punked right now? Like, is that really a thing? And, but, you know, now when things happen, my brain instantly goes to action. Like, what can I do to create actionable insights and create actionable impact? And, you know, but that's also, unfortunately, from me having to learn my way into this, which shows you how many events we've all had to go through to even get here. And I'm done with it. I'm done with it.
Well, we are done with it right there with you. Let's get to these questions because the family's not playing tonight. We got 14 questions already. Jackie said, I'd like to know if you can earn equity when you spend, and is there a way that I can invest as a gift to my siblings because they need it?
Yeah, so I'll kind of look at this question in a couple of different points. So we have had conversations where we talked about giving up equity to customers, but we have to be a little mindful of that too, because how do you control that, right? If we were to say, hey, everybody that joins Kinley will get X amount of equity and we get 2 million people to join, then cap table all jacked up. Mm-hmm. But also, yeah, on the investment front, we're right now only serving people 18 years and older. But as you can hear from the roadmap I told you, I want it all. So we eventually want to do family accounts, joint accounts, and then eventually either partner with a venture. We're looking at a company called Kitty Credit. Highly recommend you all talk to Evan. He's an amazing founder. He's doing some really good things in the financial education for kids. And so right now I am working with a lot of prospective companies that either I want to acquire later or I want to work with. So we got that big vision too.
Very good. And then Jackie's second part of the question from gifting the investment. Jackie, I would like to answer this one and say, you know, this is when you tell them about the campaign, right? You send them the link, you get them over to WeFunder, you go over to the house, help them log in if they struggle with that, and you get them to invest. As long as they're 18 years or older, they will be able to invest in the WeFunder campaign. And you know, it is the reason we do what we do, because it allows people who are unaccredited to be able to get that early seat at the table. And as we see, this table is set right nicely, and you want an early seat at this table, right? And so Jackie, you know, please share this campaign with them, you know, send it over to them right now. You don't have to wait. Send it to them right now and then tell them you call them later about it.
Second question I see is what phase process is the app in? We're live. So we have a lot of those initial features that I talked to you about. We're in the process of launching our rewards feature. That one I'm super excited about. So that goes to one of the focal points of helping Black America reclaim our economic impact. Our partner has 24,000 retailers. So Dunkin' Donuts, Walmart, Walgreens, Target, Instacart. People can earn up to 10% cash back on every single purchase. It's one of the largest rewards networks in the country. And when we roll that out, people will get access to use their Kinley card to be able to swipe and enroll at any of those locations. And when they do, they can earn cash back. And this is one of our soon to be many cards.
Nice. So Donald, so you're live. How do we sign up to be customers?
Yep. So, go to the App Store, Google Play Store, search for Kinley. You'll see our logo and icon there. Download with very easy registration right now. And we're going to be adding features pretty consistently.
And are you easy for businesses to get accounts as well? Small businesses?
Not yet. So we've already started some pretty intense research behind the scenes. Visa is one of our partners. That's a whole nother story of how productive that partnership has been, coming from somebody who had no density to think that I could be partnering with Visa in the way that we are. But business banking is going to be one of those things that we attack fairly soon next year. The difficult part for our company is, what do we do next? We want to get into credit, because we know what's coming, and this economic downturn is going to impact the poorest people in the Black community the most. It always does. We want to look at a version of buy now, pay later that's crushing people right now. We want to look into lending. So it really is, we know the pieces that the community needs, but we're going to use data to kind of help provide us the path of when we need to launch these features.
Wonderful. Sarah says, what talent gaps are you looking for to fill on the team?
Marketing. Yeah, we need phenomenal marketing leadership and talent. For us to do what we do, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you all. Black people know how Black people are with Black owned everything. I call it appraising. My mom would take us to Golden Corral. We would have dirty cups, dirty forks. We would complain a little bit, but we'd be back next week. We go into a Black owned business, we always give our businesses a little bit of extra side eye. It's just, that's Jim Crow in its full effect. We know it and we expect it. So we really want to beef up our marketing team even more, because people expect a lot from us because of who we are. And now that we've crossed the threshold of launching, being able to market to people all these different features is going to be a big deal for us. So anybody in marketing leadership, we'd love to see. We also hired a new director of engineering that I can't name just yet because he's still working there, but we grabbed him from Stash. So another very big neobank in the investment space, and he starts on the 5th of July.
Nice, congratulations for that. So Monsilia asked a question. I'm actually broaden her question. So she's asking, have you considered partnering with Greenwood Bank? And I guess I would ask a broader question is, do you partner with any other neobanks?
So we partner with fintechs. You know, it's hard for neobanks to partner. I'm a big fan of Greenwood. The neobank space needs them to win, whether they realize it or not. We are the last at bat for this. There are going to be no more investments in Black founders developing Black neobanks. And I tell that to my team consistently. If we don't win, it's a wrap. And investors are going to say, you know what? 2020 happened. We got our gold star. We did it. Didn't work. Sorry. Let's go back to, you know, Stripe and Venmo and Cash App. It's just us. It's hard to partner now because we're both, we have investors. I went the VC and angel route. They went the large incumbent bank route. I had the opportunity to go the large incumbent bank route, but just didn't quite fit with where we were and how we wanted to build. Maybe a little bit further down the road, it's pretty typical in the banking space in general. Big bank buys little bank. Maybe they grow big enough and they take a look at us, or vice versa. I do have my eyes on a number of other neobanks in the space that might be good partners for us to either partner with or maybe just acquire.
Very good. Erica says, how did you network with the influencers?
One of the funnest things. So I dug into my network, and when people found out what we were doing, it was interesting, right? A lot of it was inbound, and we had folks reach out from a number of agencies and go, Donald, listen, what you're working on, you're going to need the network to kind of encapsulate you. And I made some connections with a couple of large agencies, and these agencies connected me to superstars. I've talked to just about everybody you could imagine, you know, superstars, singers, like it's been nuts. I was able to have 2 Zoom calls with Mariah Carey. I mean, so it was interesting even having a conversation with her and her background in finance and even how that's impacted her life after all the millions she's made. It's crazy that no matter how much money we've made as a community and even individually, it still impacts us because of just anxiety around money and so many different things. But it's been a really cool thing.
Very good. Latrice says, what year were you in Overland Park, Kansas? She said, I wish I would have known, I would have supported. She said, that's like 10 minutes from where she lives. So sorry you left Kansas City.
Literally just left like 3 months ago. So I was in Leawood and Overland Park from February of 2017, and we just got to Georgia, back to Georgia at the end of May after my daughter finished school. The people in Overland Park and Kansas City are nice. we were not getting the support that we needed
Mhm.
at all. And Latrice, if you live in Overland Park, I think you probably know why.
We don't live there, and I think we get it. Robin says, how does the early access to cash work exactly?
Yeah, so it's early access to your paycheck. So it's a pretty simple feature. If you have your direct deposit connected to our account, typically the way direct deposit works is your employer will typically have their account drafted or debited 5 to 6 days before the payroll is actually due. So because of the way the Fed wires work, normally the issuing bank will notify the receiving bank several days ahead, typically 3 to 4 days. So when our issue or receiving bank sponsor, Bancorp, receives that notification from the Fed, they know that the money is essentially guaranteed to come, and it gives our customers the ability to get their funds on Wednesday versus a Friday.
Very good. So that's interesting. So I just learned something that I've been wondering. Some of my employees get their checks on Wednesday, and I've been hating on them for years because I get mine on Friday, right? And mine doesn't even come until Friday at like 10 o'clock. Like it
Yep.
doesn't even come at like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. Always wondered why that was the case.
Come on,
Interesting.
I think you need to find a neobank to work with.
Well, you know what? I think I just found one, Donald. I think I just found one. Robin says, no, Collis says, what does a C note get you? How many shares? So C note, for anybody who doesn't know, $100, right? And so you want to explain what the uncapped safe is?
Yeah, so uncapped safes are pretty unique. So normally safes either have really high caps, really low caps. We're in a situation where we're raising funds because I want quantity as much as possible. If I could get 1 million people to give $1, that's a win for us, right? So for us, it's really more about ownership, and we want to work that way. As an uncapped safe, that means that everybody that invests now will get a 15% discount towards our B round. When we raise our B round, which will be either mid 2023, late 2023, whatever that price round is, you will get $115 worth of shares versus $100. And that's a big thing for us too.
Yeah, that's huge, guys. When I'm always talking about the early bird rounds and, whenever you can get an additional percentage, that's always a big deal, just kind of from an education standpoint in the equity crowdfunding space.
And
Mavis says, oh, go ahead, Donald.
The other thing too, and especially for investors, we have a very broad team, a lot of partnerships. And because of the way our community works, we lean into not only just the funds, we have a number of LPs or limited partners that invest in the VC funds that invest in us, that reach out to us directly. There's so many different things that we want to do. We want to own the Black community, the space, because of how we represent them as well. So if there's something that we can do, a door we can open for you all as investors, or if there's a way that we can partner with something that you're working on, please feel free to reach out as well.
Nice. Mavis says, congratulations. What's your response to the Forbes article that came out yesterday, which mentions Finley and speaks to the end of the neobank era?
Yeah, I think she meant Kinley.
Kinley,
yeah,
okay.
So I know Ron Shevlin well, and Ron is definitely he's the fintech snark. So he writes things specifically to spark debate. There's some truth to it, right? So if you heard me mention earlier that we're the last at bat, plain and simple, right? Like the investors will not be likely investing in other entities, in the affinity space as well, because now what's happened is you have a lot of large entities like Coinbase who focused on a specific feature and then they add a card. And then you have a company like PayPal where they focused on payments and now they added a card. The fastest growing debit card in Black America right now is Cash App. And people are using Cash App like a bank. Cash App is not really focused on wealth building for the Black community, right? And so for us, that's something that we take serious. And now it's a matter of how do we encapsulate the community? The Black banks, we talk to every single one of them. And you have a large portion of them that really want to do more for the community, but it's chicken or the egg. What a lot of people don't know is that Black banks are stuck behind core providers, FIS, Fiserv, Jack Henry. And for them to do almost anything, it's an incredible amount of money. To update a website might cost them a couple $100,000. Many of them don't have mobile apps because it's too expensive. Or those that do have mobile apps don't have the features because you have to get the core provider to agree. So it's chicken or the egg. So we look at this as more of a survival thing. There used to be 200 plus Black banks. Now there's 17, and a lot of those 17 are not in good position, and a number of them are going to consolidate. So are we going to look up 5 years from now, and now we only have 5 Black banks in the country? And kind of my response to that is we're going to come in from the other angle. We're a very technically savvy company that has the ability to work backwards. We can go after our own bank sponsorship. We can go after it to become a minority depository institution. We can partner with an existing Black bank, and we actually have Black banks that have invested in Kinley directly as well. Or we could even possibly buy a Black bank too. So trust me, like I feel like being Black, we typically always expect the worst because we know the drama is coming. We know the hate is coming. So our head is constantly on a swivel. But again, Ron Shevlin is a partner of ours and, speaks the truth. It's going to be tough.
Very interesting what you said about Black banks. 10K Project does bank with a Black bank, and I complain all the time about the lack of flexibility. And we're a virtual company. My CEO and I live in completely different states from each other, and it's not convenient at all. We're staying with it because we believe in the mission, but it is very difficult. So I didn't realize that all of those features that we grow to love and that make life a little easier cost them so much. That's unfortunate.
It's tough. Yeah. And how do you say that to the public, right? But then you have large neobanks like Chime. Chime is onboarding 600,000 people a month. Wow. Guess what a bunch of their customers look like? Me and you, right? And and now I think another article that Ron wrote a couple of weeks ago was that the name of the game, unfortunately, is features. Like these Gen Z, they want features. They're smart. They're coming out the gate that they want high yield savings. I couldn't tell you what high yield savings was until my late 20s. Right. And these kids come out of high school looking for high yield savings accounts. Like they want yield. And those are things that if you don't meet their need, or especially in the banking space in general, if your customer base is getting older, you're losing. Mm-hmm. Right. So we look at what we're doing as a continuation. We call it all the time our ancestors' wildest dreams. There's no way Frederick Douglass thought when he was leaving, Freedman Savings and Trust, that all these generations later, me and my team are going to be building a digital first solution based off of his legacy.
Right. Wow. Anonymous says, are you looking for interns?
Always. My head of people, if she was on this call, would probably punch me right now. But yes, we want to be able to develop the next generation. Entrepreneurship is at the core of who I am. And I want to develop more people to see the great things that we do, the bad things that we do, so that they can also go and create other solutions as well. And it's been cool to watch people that we brought on board as like junior developers and junior PMs now run things, on our team.
Are those opportunities listed on the website?
They're not, but if you can communicate with me via LinkedIn, happy to get you connected with my head of people.
Wonderful. Another question from Anonymous. Are you providing only a debit card, or is a credit card option available as well?
Only debit card for now, but just you wait. Like we have a lot of plans in the works, but it's going to take a little time, but we're getting there as quickly as we can.
Good. How are you going to help with credit issues? That's Carlos is asking that question.
Yeah, so our director of financial education, Melody, has a very holistic approach, right? Because everybody's situation is different, and I feel credit was set up to be vague on purpose, right? And I still don't quite understand like Experience Boost product. How do you just pay to get your credit card or your credit score increase? So what we're doing is actually building what we call just-in-time financial education, which I'm really excited about. When you think about everything that we do in life, you want to get smarter, you go get a teacher. You want to lose weight, you go get a personal trainer. You need some help with mental health, you go get a psychiatrist. But when it comes to money, that's the most private we are. Nobody wants to share, nobody wants to talk about it. So we want to be that trusted financial partner for customers. And the way we feel that we can help people with credit issues is to keep them away from those issues. So if you use our account, we have no overdraft fee and overdraft protection. As we consume and read the transactions, we can actually give you suggestions So if we see, Tawana, your Verizon bill is 25% higher than our average customer, we want to notify you of things you can do. If we see that
Wow.
your net income is less than 10%, each month, we're going to recommend an audio track that we've already recorded for developing a side hustle, right? And that's that support.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
that's awesome.
yeah. So I mean, so
Wow.
we feel the best response to help people isn't just to go, hey, look at this video and follow these instructions. You have to be able to do it at the transactional level, because that's the problem with progress, right? Teachers are good because they meet students where they are individually, and every student in the class is going to get a different level of attention based on who and what they are. And you could imagine that's going to take a lot of engineering power to make that happen. But man, when we get that done, I think it's a wrap, right? That's going to be that last little piece that Black America has needed. We need that partner. We don't trust banks, all right? And unfortunately, we don't share very well with each other. I feel like everybody in the Black community has, I call them a Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. They likely were in the military. They have a nice house on the street. Yard is always nice. Mr. Jackson, Miss Jackson always has a nice car, but we don't live in the days that we used to, where you could go to Mr. Jackson's house and say, hey, Mr. Jackson, how did you build your wealth? And he would sit you down, fix you a glass of tea, and tell you how he did it. Nowadays, we don't have that. We don't share, so we feel like we have to be that digital first partner for our customers.
Absolutely love that. Here at 10K Project, we share all day, every day. So we get the importance of that. And so that's an amazing feature. It absolutely is. Carlos, I think he answered that second question, teaching us how to invest our money and make money. So, sounds like all of that's going to be included. So that's great.
100%.
Bernard says, I went to bkenlee.com site on my desktop. Oh, it looks like it didn't send him any email or link to get started.
Yeah, Bernard, check your spam just to be safe. And if that didn't work, hit me up on LinkedIn. We'll get you taken care of.
Wonderful. Anonymous says, how many clients do you have right now? And how many clients are you gaining per month in the past 2 years?
Well, we just launched, and we have kind of now 2 different platforms. So we have a total right now of a little bit over 20,000 customers. Some customers connected with us directly on our old app. We've revamped the app now. So now we're transitioning people from our old app, which is hidden from Google Play and iOS, to the new public site that we have as well. So we are growing steadily. There are a lot of expenses in the neobank space. So it is not for the faint of heart. Card shipment and fulfillment, API partners, security. There are a lot of different pieces. And I'm thankful for it because people are putting their hard-earned money in an account that we manage. And that's something that we take really seriously.
Nice. What percentage of the capital being raised will be dedicated to marketing?
A good bit of it. Like we feel the name of the game now is all about, customer acquisition, right? And not only just customer acquisition, customer engagement, customer usage as well. The cool thing, very similar to everybody here, the mission's easy, and we make it easy for people to work with us, right? So we have no minimum deposit balances. We send you a debit card. We offer actionable things that you can do immediately when you download the app. Listen to financial education, overdraft protection, no overdraft fees as well. And now that we've crossed this threshold, being able to acquire customers is going to be the next big focus for the rest of the year. And then we're going to continually add features, learn from our customers, and make things as sticky as possible.
Very good. Kim asked, and actually, Kim, it's funny. So let me say this first. So Donald, one of the things we do here at the 10K Project is we connect our current founder with previous founders where there seems like obvious synergies exist, right? And so Kim's question kind of lends to something I already wrote down. So Kim said, you mentioned your interest in crypto. Are you considering partnering with Hill Harper's the Black Wall Street Digital Wallet and Exchange? And so here at the 10K Project, we have an amazing relationship with Naja Robert, who is Hill Harper's partner with the Black Wall Street. And I already wrote down to make that introduction for you.
Hill Harper's been popping up on my timeline all day today. So we have another in-kind project. So his company, A-Frame, their most recent round of funding was led by Forerunner Ventures. So we're in the same family with that project. Would love to talk to Hill. I feel again, crypto is went from being one of those must-have features to now you have to be a little bit more nuanced with how you introduce it to the community, because a lot of the people losing money right now in crypto are Black folks. You know, this is not the first bear market that crypto has had, and I know personally a lot of our counterparts that are salivating at all the people that are selling. They can't wait for Bitcoin to drop under $20,000 because they know that when it hits 60, Black people, per usual, are going to be on the outside looking in. So, but you also just can't go and tell people, hey, this extremely volatile, you know, wealth building asset that went from 60,000 to 19,000 will eventually come back, when they can show you losses, you know, that they've had. So yeah, super interesting. Yeah, would love to talk to Hill.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we'll definitely make the introduction on our side. And Naja right now is working with Jay-Z, educating the folks in Marcy Projects on crypto and Bitcoin.
Part of that, yeah, I heard about that deal with them.
Yeah, so we'll make that introduction definitely. We believe in the crypto blockchain space here at 10K Project. I'm one of the founding members of Black Blockchain Consultants, where our mission about 4 years ago was to educate 1 million Black people in the space so that they could make wise decisions when we hit markets like this. They know what to do. So super excited about the space here. And I'm excited that you guys are considering that, adding some features in the space. Sarah says, I checked your site for senior marketing openings, but didn't see anything that immediately applies. Who can we send resumes, portfolios to for future consideration?
Yep, you know, I'm actually going to type this one in. You can send it to our head of talent, Chuck. His email is right there. Yeah, we have to add the roles. A lot of it is new as we started to expand. You know, part of our marketing strategy has been working with influencers. So something else that I'm excited to tell you all too is that we signed Shedeur Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, Deion Sanders' sons, to lead our investment in crypto initiative for later this year. We also signed Deja Kelly. Deja Kelly is a basketball phenom at University of North Carolina as well. These kids are just, there's something else. In the HBCU space, you can't get bigger than Shedeur and Shiloh. So we were extremely excited to see them on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and they're prepped to have a pretty big year. So we're going to be doing some filming. And now that we have the influencer part of our marketing strategy, we got to expand. And we think that's something we want to grow with. Nice.
Arthur says, what are the interest rates, if there are any?
You know, right now we are having conversations with our bank sponsor about offering additional yield on our stash accounts and savings accounts. Have not quite figured that out yet, what it's going to be, but we do see that they're now finally starting to increase for the first time in forever. So that's something that we'll likely be looking into releasing a little bit later this year.
Anonymous says, my big problem with a lot of fintech apps is the inability to add beneficiaries to account. Can someone add a beneficiary to an account with your company? And if not, why not?
Yeah, we can't right now. And there's a reason for that. You know, there are a number of things that you have to get through when it comes to adding new accounts. One thing is called KYC, know your customer. So a lot of it is also being able to prove people's identities, and then also the nuanced things that might happen with what level of access. So for us, the first step is going to be family accounts, right? Where somebody can be designated, you know, as the owner of the family account, and then also adding beneficiaries. You know, it also depends on the entity, you know, especially in the fintech space. Most fintechs focus on a specific group, where you have companies like Current, who focus primarily on Generation Z, right? So a lot of those folks don't have kids yet, and, you know, college students, things of that nature. You have neobanks like MoneyLion and Aspiration, different type of segment. There aren't very many fintechs aside from Chime that have more of a general base. Kinley, obviously, with us focusing on Black America, we know that joint accounts and having beneficiaries is definitely going to be a part of it, but we're just starting. So trust me, if I could snap a finger, every single feature you all mentioned tonight would already be live in the app.
Nice. Wade says, first, let me express that I'm very encouraged to see this vision, for us, by us, being realized. Says, however, I find myself being apprehensive because of the language I hear that is canvassing this vision. People diversification, which seems to hint at non-Black involvement accommodation, open to anyone else, to everyone else, etc. The basis for my apprehension is based on precedents as I look back at Abraham Lincoln's so-called Black Bank, Frederick Douglass being duped with Freedmen's Bank, the implemented limitations with Freedmen's Bank, etc. How are you able to put my apprehension at ease with regards to outsiders, non-Black partners' involvement? For instance, to what extent are non-Black partnerships or involvements might have the ability, if any, to hinder this very palpable vision for Black people in America? Okay, Wade.
Wade, I love that question. And trust me, like, I'm thankful for it. The reason that I mentioned Kinley as the bridge to Black America's financial needs is that we get to make that decision. We get to control things. Our partnerships are plug and play. We have the ability to build things in-house, or we can partner. So we vet a lot of the partners that we work with too, but we're never beholden to them. So if we feel that a partner is not meeting the mission, of what Kinley stands for, we take them out. When I gave you all the broader view of kind of the future of Kinley, as we acquire these customers, we got a lot of options. We can always stay at neobank and create things in-house. We might end up doing Kinley Insurance ourselves. All that is another round of funding and the right insurance partner. And now we have Kinley Insurance. We want to handle our own loan origination. We can go and get a debt facility today. We have an investor that's an $8 billion family office that specifically lends money to certified financial development institutions. That was also by design. That's their added value that we're not going to get to tap into until we offer a lending product. So just that mindset that we had from the very beginning of recognizing how much Black America has been duped, how we've been bamboozled, that's not something that's lost on us. Every partnership that we have, every decision that we make is also looking at these partners with that perennial side eye, to make sure that we stay on mission as well. I understand the apprehension. I would expect nothing less from our community as well. I will also say the ownership structure of this company, even after 2 rounds of funding, I still own over 50% of the company. That also is not very normal. The company is also minority owned. My board member is also a part of a minority community who came up very similar to me, but from a different part of the world, but those things are really important. As we have these conversations with partners, we are very direct with kind of what we're looking for and also what we won't stand for. And it's pretty easy to spot things out, when you're building the way we're building. And remember, we just launched. So it's not like, folks came in day one knowing that we were working with Taraji. So a lot of it was mission alignment and people just wanted to do good in the world. But thank you for asking that question.
Very good. Thank you for that. Carla says, are you looking for referral partners?
Always. Distribution is the secret sauce to all of it.
Nice. Arthur says, 10% cash back on everything. Is the 10% cash back on everything or just certain purchases?
Just certain purchases. And we have some neat things that I can't drop right now, but yeah, the merchant gets to decide what it is. And in many cases, they also adjust the offers based on the day of the week, time of day as well. But it is pretty much places where Black people spend money every single day. We went and looked at my wife's transactions from a couple months ago, and over 90% of the transactions would have received cash back. The reason that's important for us is when you heard me mention one of the other focal points for us is passive wealth building. We want the cash rewards from those customers to now be used to invest. When we poll customers and we ask them, like, what do you think about building wealth? The feedback was, Donald, I don't make enough money to build wealth. I'm barely keeping the lights on. Right? How can I think about building wealth when I can barely put food on the table for my kids? And guess what? That means a lot more today than it did even in 2020, because we see how expensive groceries are. So our response, and this is where technology for good can help people, is great. What if you spend money at the exact same places you've been spending money, except now every time you swipe your Kinley debit card, you're earning cash back. You were going to spend the money anyway. So if you have $50 left over at the end of the month, don't spend it. Put it in an investment account and just let it sit there and grow. And that's part of the financial education where Black people, we're trying to help us expand our mind when it comes to investments and even crypto, where it's not flipping money. We think when we put our money in these things, I'm going to sit it there for 6 months, Bitcoin is going to triple in value, I'm going to pull it out real quick. But the investment mindset is time, right? Time is the best friend of wealth building, but we have a number of decades, where we have been thinking the exact opposite direction. So it's going to take the same and equal amount of force to get us to shift the other way as well.
Nice. I just want to ask, Wade made a comment in the chat. He said he heard that all the things he was hoping to hear in your response to his question, and now his apprehension has subsided. So thank you.
Thank you, Wade.
Perez says,
I'm now responsible to you.
Perez says, great business concept. What is your strategy against big bank acquisition, and what is your exit strategy?
Yeah, big bank acquisition. I'm not as worried about them coming to us. That cannot happen for a variety of reasons. It's crazy. A lot of people don't know that the folks at Bank of America, their origin started off very similar to Black folks. Goldman Sachs started off very similar to Black folks, but it likely doesn't come as a surprise to anybody here. Black folks' path was thwarted a million times, and yet Friedman and other Black-owned banks could have taken the same path that Goldman Sachs did and Bank of America. So for us, it's just our eyes are on the prize. If we have to make adjustments, to different features to keep the lights on, we have lots of variability there. Exit strategy, to honor the history of where Black America started in the Black banking space. I always wonder, what would it look like if we were to take this company public, but it's owned by us? Woo! We don't get to own anything. What if we owned it, right? And what if we spun off Kinley Lending, Kinley Insurance, Kinley Debits? We could do so many different things. I want the people, I want our community to own it, but it's something that's immutable, something that they cannot touch. We built it. That's why this is so important to me, getting everybody here on this call into the company. And even when I showed you the 60-second video of my team, the big message for me for the team was that we have to change the mindset, because Black folks especially, we're so used to having the company sit up in a separate place and man, I'm just coming to work to collect the check, and the company's over here. Everything that we're building that I've talked to you about, it's not me. It's the combination of all the people. It's the combination of the investors and the partners and the supporters. We're all a part of it. And I feel we have a unique opportunity that we can take this thing public. We all own it. And now it's generational wealth being built, and it's not going to stop. What if we can take this thing globally, right? Can money be the bridge between the Black diaspora? Maybe.
Wow. Very, very, very good. Dr. Charlotte says, how will your company manage customer service? Frequently, we have a great idea, but once we acquire the customers, we have a challenge with providing quality customer service.
So German Utria, who you saw, that was the reason that we wanted him. He was referred by another team member of ours. We've recruited heavily. We have a former director of customer success from Robinhood, who you did not see, that is also on the team, and a former director of customer success from Delta that's also on the team. So we have a pretty good customer success team. Nobody gets beat up worse than folks at Delta. So when he applied, I'm like, oh yes, we need to hire him immediately. We also knew that customer success is going to have to be something that we have to be extra concerned about, because our customers are going to expect more as well. So we're doing a lot of things to automate processes, but also we listen to our customers. We're going to expose our team members to customers. So we're going to do things like webinars where people get to meet Tony Sargent, our head of product, where people get to meet German and Chad and Marcus and have real conversations. When does that get to happen? But that's that family atmosphere that we're looking to build. Even if we don't have everything right today, we want people to know, hey, listen, we're fam. Give us some time. We're working on it. We're listening to you. We want to build. One of the problems that we face is that people don't quite understand where we are as a venture. And because they expect so much, it's going to be impossible for us to develop that relationship unless we expose our team members to our community even more. So that part we're taking really serious. Customer success is no joke for us.
Nice. Anonymous says, are you into the KJW family? Now, I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Yeah, Anonymous, please clarify what that is. You can clarify in the Q&A or in the chat if you'd like.
I think I might know what that means.
Think you might know?
If the W stands for Walton, I don't know.
No, Anonymous, let us know. Another question from Anonymous says, another concern with a lot of fintech apps is the lack of customer service. Can you speak? Oh, we answered that one, I think. Yeah, I think you answered that.
Yeah, so, and I'll expound on it this way. So most neobanks, for us to grow, we have to outsource calls too. So our internal team handles escalations, but they train the outsource team that we work with. As we start to scale and grow, then we start to bring more people in-house, and then we can answer calls. That's just one of those things that we have to manage as an expense. I would love to go ahead and hire 50 customer success representatives right now, but that's a lot of overhead. And the hope is that we grow quickly enough to offset, that additional cost.
And Kareem says, how are you guys fighting against fraud or fraudulent behavior?
Vigorously. Fraud is no joke. It is, fraudsters out there are super smart. They're always trying to find ways to get into new programs. We have a number of very skilled people on our team. We actually just today hired an amazing compliance analyst named Renee, who joins us from an incumbent bank, whose job is to fight financial crimes every day, all day. She works, it feels like 24/7. Where everything from onboarding customers to reviewing transactions to having automated features that provide red flags. Like, there's so many things that we're looking at. Fraud is always a part of banking in general. They're always going to find creative ways in, and we're going to consistently fight that as well. So that team is one of the most important teams in the company. We're taking that very serious. A number of partnerships that are already in place, and we're going to continue to expand on that.
Very good. Jessica says, are there plans to onboard Black-owned businesses as cashback partners?
Can I show y'all something?
Absolutely.
So, all right, now y'all gonna have to really keep this one in the family because no one really has seen this outside of this group. So innovation is just part of who and what we are. So when I started Kinley, Black businesses have always been in the back of my mind of how can we serve Black businesses? And I realized that one of the primary things is businesses have not necessarily been designated as Black owned. And even the largest payment providers like the Visa, the MasterCard, the American Express, they don't know businesses that are Black owned. So because we are world changers here at Kinley, we decided after we had conversations with some of these payment providers, and they were like, oh, that's cool. If you all can figure something out, let us know. And we went in and we did a thing and we built something. We right now have the largest database of Black-owned businesses in the country. Now over 140,000 businesses. We have it set up in an API. We have a number of partners that we work with. And from this API, we are also now able to, when we partner with these payment providers, every single swipe, not only from our card, but anybody who spends money at a Black-owned business, we're going to be able to track that impact. We have not actioned that yet. We don't play around. Like, that's literally just R&D for us. For other people, it's like, yo, that's like a whole business. We don't play around. So Black-owned businesses and supporting Black-owned businesses is serious for us. And we're pretty deep in discussions right now with Visa with ways that we can implement that and potentially also create a broader validation tool for that. Because what we don't want is just for people to have a sign on the door that just says Black-owned. That to me is performative, right? And
right.
American Express can say, oh yeah, Black-owned business, like, okay, but how is that really helping the businesses, right? No, we want to be able to show real funds going into those businesses. And that's how we look at problems. Again, pain point, more than half of Black-owned businesses closed during the pandemic. A bunch of people said a bunch of performative stuff, nothing happened. Action, we build our own API. And that's how we look at the approach for everything. Thank you for asking that question, because I was not thinking about showing that tonight.
That was a great question. Okay, so Anonymous gave us clarification. So are you into the KJW family? So it says Kardashian, Jenner, West can be Walton.
My wife would probably like us to be. I don't know. I miss the old Kanye, so that's my answer. I miss the old Ye.
Dean says, what is Kinley's current valuation?
$65 million.
Very good. Anonymous says, can Kinley account be connected to other bank accounts or fintech accounts? I would be more interested in transferring money than doing a direct deposit.
Yep. Yeah, we have partnerships where you can connect external accounts and debit cards and transfer funds in.
Very good. Dr. Charlotte says, will points be incorporated into the reward space for the debit card? She says, I love my points.
Not yet, but we are thinking about adding a native coin feature. We had that in one of our early iterations, but when we polled customers, cash was king. People just were more interested in getting cash rewards than points to earn cash.
April is one of our members and she lives in Singapore. April says, I'm international. I just opened an account. How will you handle international transactions? All my credit cards have no international transaction fees.
So right now, since we don't offer credit cards, obviously there's not much we can do, but that is something that we're thinking about. You know, Black America doesn't really use remittances or make a lot of international fees. With us being a no hidden fees platform, we work with a number of partners. Kind of the way that we get to work with that, and I'm really showing y'all how the sausage is made. There's a reason why I was interested in Barclays investing in us. Wink, wink. You know, so as our customers do travel abroad and do things, we want to set up additional partnerships where we can make things as fee-free as possible for our customers. Stateside, we have now 55,000 plus ATMs that you can bank with now for free, and we plan on expanding that network as well. But that's why the diaspora is so important for us. Like, what can we do here stateside to prove and validate that concept and then expand that globally?
Very good. Anonymous says, you mentioned that accounts are accounts are starting to generate a yield, leading to an interest rate. How is that yield being generated? And are you following the blueprint of brick and mortar banks and investing or loaning the money to gain a yield? If so, are you investing and loaning to Black-owned businesses?
Not yet, but all of the above. I mean, so right now the feds have increased interest rates. You know, they've been at zero for forever, so it's easier for some entities to offer that. We aren't at that phase just yet. Lending is something that is very profitable, you know, but also something that you have to be careful with. And I feel like that's why a lot of Black banks struggle a little bit, where you make your money from lending, but also if folks default too much and you're left holding the bag, it's a quick way to kill your bank. You know, so for us, we're kind of starting off with the front door of a depository account, debit card, developing those relationships. And as we get to know our customers more, that's what makes us special. Think of all the data points we have from a transaction level, as most banks look at their customers based off of income and credit score. And that's where a lot of Black people don't get the equity we deserve when it comes to banking. But what we look at is, even if a customer makes $2,000 less per month than somebody else, and maybe their credit score isn't as good as somebody else, if we see that person has good net income, if we see that person has listened to 80% of our financial education tracks, if we can see that they set up cash rewards and they fund an investment account with us on a month-to-month basis, we will be more lenient, you know, and provide better rates to that customer than a traditional bank would with somebody that has high income and a high credit score. You know, and we feel like that's an investment that we make in our customers. The return on that investment is more financially savvy customers. And that's the type of impact and intentionality that we feel we have to win.
Very good. Latrice says, with you guys wanting to keep track of the payments towards Black-owned businesses, do you intend to store that data?
Of course, 100%. And again, from inside of Kinley and also outside of Kinley, we know the general statistics that Black America spent $1.7 trillion last year in the US. You can go to some of the hardest hit Black areas in the country and you will find a brand new Walgreens, Walmart, Target, but it is hard for Black businesses to thrive because we don't have the same unit economics, right? Like that is really, that was the chess match that we lost a long time ago, right? You know, how do you build the business? What's the Black McDonald's? What's the Black Target? What's the Black Walmart? You know, white America, you know, has put plans in place 50 years ago that we're just now catching up to now, and they're still doing it. There's plans being put in place that won't impact Black people for 20 years. And when we get to that point, we're gonna be, oh my God, how'd this happen? How come no one saw this? And it's because we're so focused on keeping the lights on week to week, month to month. We're not thinking in decades like our counterparts have been, right? But that is a huge shift in mentality for our community for so many different reasons. Even simple things like insurance. I think insurance could change the game for Black America. You know, there's a reason why, you know, GoFundMe and all those other entities have done so well with us, but there's so much that we have to do. We got to change the way we think. We got to do things that feel uncomfortable for us, you know, to catch up and hopefully surpass.
And Perez says, could you partner with Wise for the transfer international fees? I like
Wise. Wise is dope. He's done something pretty phenomenal, you know, with the way he's democratized, you know, remittances. And again, that's what those global plans, will we take our crypto exchange and go into other countries and use that as the front door? There's a lot of things that we can do. We've already legally behind the scenes made a bunch of moves in countries to get trademarked and copyrighted, knowing that that's also going to be on our roadmap a little further down the line.
Very good. Any additional questions, family, for Donald? If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A for us. We'll give you a few minutes to do that before we start giving our closing statements and ask for our call to action.
Awesome.
Erica says, this has been wonderful.
Thanks so much, Erica. No, this has been fun, and especially be talking to Black angels. Just, that's a win for me. Really wish we would have gotten connected earlier, Tawana, honestly.
I know. But we're here now. That's all that matters. That's all that matters, is what happens now and going forward.
That's it.
Don says, I feel the energy and I like your vision. I would like to be part of the venture. We are a product development company that bring a new product to market. Do you know of any investors in this space?
Plenty. Yeah. I mean, the other thing, that this is the entrepreneur in me too. Whoever mentioned my time in Kansas City and Overland Park, when I got there in 2017, I was working for a buddy's company, got the itch to get back into venture, and Kansas City is like 8 years behind where Atlanta is from a tech perspective. And I had two options: keep my head down and build my company, or talk a bunch of smack, you know, and make sure that Black founders realize that we can build great companies, but we don't have to be beholden, you know, to how the ecosystem is set up. The reason that that's important to me is that everything that I've done in my entrepreneurship journey, like I've been the struggling founder, struggled to raise capital, I've bootstrapped companies, I've had some success, I've had way more failures, but everything that I've learned, I'm constantly trying to teach, not just the good things, but the ugly things that come with the space too. But the benefit is I've also been able to build a really dope network of, you know, blue chip, you know, investors, blue chip angels, people that really get it, and always happy to share that network.
Nice. So there's a question in the chat from one of our founders, actually. Latoya Rucker is one of the founders of Collexium. It's a cannabis company out of Detroit. And Latoya actually pitched to the 10K Project a few weeks ago. She's asking in the chat, how do you feel about cannabis companies banking with you?
Business is business for us, right? And Black owned is Black owned as well. The cannabis space is one of those where I need another 3 hours and we can't record it. So I can really tell you all how I feel about the way America has once again, you know, taken something that Black folks are in jail for right now.
We actually talked about that a few weeks ago with Latoya, and we recorded it. It is what it is.
I mean, I think somebody posted Donald for president. This is exactly why I cannot, because stuff like that upsets me way too much. But yeah, no, there's a place that the banking space in general is easing into it. And I know a lot of companies that are banking, literally on banking cannabis companies too. There's so much policy that needs to be changed. And that's why I'm looking at Gen Z and I'm looking at founders like Latoya to get out there and change the game. People aren't going to do it for us. You know, it's sad and it's frustrating, but y'all already know what I do. when things like that happen. So Latoya, please feel free to reach out. Anybody that I can connect you with. Got a lot of folks in that network that I can connect you with.
Nice. So Dean's asking, I didn't see any perks, Dean. So on the WeFunder site, I didn't see any perks. So Dean's asking, are there any perks for investing?
Not yet. We've been trying to figure out what to give. It's a little bit different from like the neobank space. We do have swag, so maybe we'll add swag on
We
there.
like swag here. We like
Yeah.
swag.
Yeah, I think we might throw some swag on there. Yeah, the team put together some hoodies. We got some hats. So I think that is something that we could do.
Very good. Anonymous says, I'm looking for training. I do understand the language.
Training?
What kind of training, Anonymous? And then Jackie says, how about partnering with PayBaby, FinletX, and AssetCoin? So these are three companies that have pitched at 10K. So PayBaby is another neobank. I'm sure you're
Yep.
familiar with them. Hassan Maya is, a friend of 10K. FinletX is a financial education company out of New York. They are doing, Dwayne Samuels is the CEO there. He's doing amazing things. And then AssetCoin is a cryptocurrency company. It's like a community coin is the best way to explain it.
Okay.
And so Jackie, I can make those introductions. I can absolutely make those introductions as well.
Yeah. I know.
Especially to FinletX. I really think there's a good fit there.
Yeah, I know PayBaby well. Actually, the technology they use was built by a founder who lived in Overland Park. Crazy. We live 5 minutes apart. And I had a conversation with them pretty early. Cool company.
Nice. Perez says, will there be an opportunity for junior accounts? So then we can put our money in our kids' accounts that then can grow with the company.
Yep. Family accounts are on the roadmap. Can't wait to get there.
Good. Sheila says, is there a max on the amount of funds that can be deposited monthly? I work for a financial services company with an insurance, and when we send a death claim to clients who don't have banks, they struggle to receive large checks through neobanks like Chime.
Yeah, I mean, so bank sponsors require a max, but it's primarily to keep people within specific guardrails to fight against financial crimes, because fraudsters are just always, they're like flies. Right, they only leave you when you make it very difficult for them to commit fraud. So for us, typically the way bank sponsors work is when you have a large use case, for folks to deposit large funds, then they ease restrictions. Companies like Chime don't have those types of use cases, so they don't. But Sheila would love to talk. I mean, that sounds like a potential distribution partnership for us. And if we have a large enough use case and we get our bank sponsor to sign off on that, that is something we could definitely do.
Nice. Wade says, what are some ways that we can spread the vision to our local communities in a very integral and comprehensive way? Any recruitment facilitation mechanisms in place for the little people?
Yeah, I mean, we have a community development team, which is very rare for a Series A neobank. So Daryl Green, the SVP from Wells Fargo that we hired, ran business development for Wells Fargo here in the Southeast. And we have 5 other people on that team. Their primary job is to find distribution partnerships and develop those community aspects. We want to get into churches. We want to get into HBCUs. We want to provide financial education to people as well. So yeah, I mean, we're looking for ambassadors on the ground. We're looking for partnerships, anything that we can do so that people can see us and experience us. That's the difference. As a neobank, a lot of neobanks generate revenue from, monthly fees, and that's how they keep the lights on. We're taking a bet, right? Well, we're giving things to our customers completely free of charge. And we feel that investment in those customers, again, will come back to us later as they continue to scale and grow. It's a bet that we're making because we really want to make an impact, on the community. And so far, we've seen that validation. People come in super excited about the mission, and now we just have to serve them as best we can.
Very good. Tammy says, the largest Black-owned insurance company in America is OmniBay. Interesting. And then Sheila gave you her email for you to copy that. She's with New York Life.
Yeah, if I would love if you have a connection to OmniBay, would love to chat with them. We could do some powerful things. And again, you all heard me mention at the very beginning, a lot of things just doesn't make sense for us to develop internally. It's too heavy, right? We'll have to go out and hire 50 people just to run the insurance. But if there's a company that's already aligned with our mission, that's already doing the work, and all we have to do is partner with the front end, connect our customers, give their customers access, that's a win across the board for us. And we built our tool specifically where we can plug and play with partners.
Nice.
Wait, I hear you on the swag. I got you.
If you had a swag, it's something on right now, they would have harassed you way earlier than now. So you, I think that's all the questions. So we got these 3. Any other questions? Tina said, this is awesome. All right. Oh, Latrice says, is the company on any social media to follow?
Yep, you can find us on all the socials at Kinley Official.
Kinley Official, very good.
No problem.
How to connect on LinkedIn is what Bernard said.
Yep, Kinley Official.
Kinley
Yeah,
Official.
feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn.
All right. I'll give you guys a few minutes. I'll give my closing. Don said, glad I came into this room. Don, we're glad you came too. Very good. I'll go first and then I'll let you close us out, Donald. You know, the 10K project exists because we understood the need to make sure that we took care of our Black founders, right? Because we recognize that we are all we have, right? We can't keep depending and relying on others to do the work that we know need to be done, and that we can perfectly, perfectly honestly, we can do it, right? We just have to get together and do it. It's as simple as that. And so, you know, that's why 10K Project exists. You know, in addition to helping founders raise the capital that they need, we're focusing on helping investors learn everything about alternative investments so that they too can try to build wealth, right? We want wealth to be more than just a cool term on a t-shirt, right? It has to be the action you talked about earlier, Donald, has to be. And so that's why we're here. And, you know, as we're listening to everything that you're doing, and we're what an amazing pitch, first of all, that we've listened to this evening. And even hearing you saying that, you know, you have the money, right? You wanted to do this because there's a population of people that you did not want to leave behind. And so, you know, we all showed up this evening, and now we need to fulfill our end of the deal for ourselves, right? You're not here by mistake. You didn't show up tonight by mistake, because y'all don't always show up, right? So let's just keep it real. Y'all don't always show up and hang out with me on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And so the fact that you did tonight means that you were supposed to be here. You were supposed to hear this presentation, right? And then the next thing you're supposed to do is respond accordingly. Whatever accordingly means to you and your situation, this is your portfolio you're building. You have to decide what goes in it. But what I will say to you, and I am not a financial advisor, but what I will say to you is Donald didn't have to be here tonight. And so the fact that he is speaks volumes to me as the kind of founder he is going to be as he leads this company to success. So what we need to do is we need to share this campaign with everyone we know. We need to sign up for accounts, right? Let's be consumers, right? Let's be consumers. Let's tell our family and friends about it. Let's post something on all our social media about not only the investment opportunity, but about being consumers, right? That is the call to action tonight from me. Donald has his own call to action, but the call to action from me is share this campaign. First and foremost, share it, because the more people that see it, the more potential investors he'll have, right? And then obviously do your due diligence and consider if you want to add it into your own portfolio, right? And then the other thing is sign up and be a member, right? Sign up, open an account. I'm going to sign up and open an account. And that's how we're going to support. Don said, I've already started. Awesome, Don. Thank you so very much. And to everyone else, I saw that a couple of times in the chat. I already sent it to my family and friends. I already signed up to be a customer. Thank you guys for acting and responding in real time. The other thing I always tell you guys is, we can procrastinate if we want, but why? We're here now. Let's do it. When you log off here tonight, take another 5 minutes, sign up for the account, right? Start making your mental list of who you want to share this with. And then if you're too tired tonight, because it's a little late, share it tomorrow. But share it, guys. Don't let anything distract you from sharing it. It's important that this gets out. Donald and his team have done an amazing thing here. They've worked hard. We could see the work, and they just got started. And they need us and people like us to help propel them even further. And so don't miss out on this opportunity to make a difference, right? To make a difference in your own life and in the lives of others. With that said, I'm gonna step down off my soapbox. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Donald, to close it out. But thank you so very, very much. This is wonderful. And I'm so very proud of you. And anything 10K Project can ever do to assist, we are here. We are a growing community, and we exist because of founders like you.
I appreciate that, Tawana. And I'm pretty sure I, along with everybody here, probably want to end on your statement. I don't know how I can follow that one. I don't think there's anything else I could add, with the exception of one thing. Going back to one of the earlier messages, our people have persevered and gone through some of the darkest days in history. And we are here. Every single one of us is living our ancestors' wildest dreams. But there's a duty that we have with that too. They sacrificed for us to be doing what we're doing now. And that's something that I constantly try to keep top of mind for me. On LinkedIn, I posted the other day, the obligatory, we've launched, here's all the amazing things that we've done. But the truth of it is, a Black man died in front of the entire world. And that's what it took to wake me up. I wish it didn't. I wish that was the last time that ever happened. It's not. And if there's one thing that you get from hearing me talk tonight, it is to act. Every single thing that impacts our community, that impacts your family, we can fix it. Look at what we've done already with nothing. We came here with no name. We came here, erased and blocked from our history. And look at what we've done. Look at what we've done. And I feel like if as a community, we get the power that we have, or the magic. I tell my daughter that there is nothing that we can't accomplish. And just please act. It's our community, and lives literally depend on it. With the way things are headed, it's going to be tougher for Black people over the next few years than probably at any time in our history almost. Because now it's gone from physical slavery to slavery in other ways. And y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not going to get better unless we decide that we will take action and do something. And I appreciate you all giving me the time. I know we went over by a good little bit. Enjoyed the question.
We didn't go over. This worked out exactly the way it was supposed to. They know sometimes we go long. They know. And they're going to go longer, because what's going to happen is they're going to show this replay to the children in their family, to the young adults in their family. This session should be shared with everyone in our families, because they need to see what it looks like when you act, right? What it looks like when you stop being angry and you act. And thank you for accepting the assignment and not just doing what many of us did and we just got angry, right? And so you countered that with something that's going to change lives and make just allow things to be more accessible for our community. You did that. You found this team, right? But it started with your vision, your dream, and your lack of fear that said, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be hard, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So thank you. Thank you for all the Black boys and girls that are going to watch this or going to hear their family talk about you, and they're going to be inspired by it. So thank you very much.
Tawana, I appreciate you all. And you all count me as a very proud alumni of the 10 Cake Project. My network is open to everybody here, and whatever I can do to help other founders that you all speak with, please feel free to reach out.
We absolutely will. With that said, good night, everyone. I love you. I appreciate this community. Donald, to your team, when you talk to them tomorrow, tell them big ups from Tawana. Big ups.
100%
Well done.
We
All right,
appreciate you all.
guys. Good night.
Good night, everybody.